Ready? Congratulations to Georgia Tech. It was a great game. Both teams ran up and down the field, and neither team stopped each other, and we hurt ourselves with penalties more than they did, and it was so weird that we played good defense first quarter, then awful defense the second quarter, and then good defense the third quarter, even though our offense had the ball the large majority of the time, and then we played awful defense the fourth quarter. It was awful. And it just without being able to see the video and graded, it looked like he hit 20 of 24 the first half, and Haynes King did an unbelievable job of throwing the ball, and they picked on our corners, and we spread out to try to help the corners and intercepted the ball and forced a punt to start the second half. I thought we were in great shape, and then they adjusted and ran the ball, and we couldn't stop it. So just very, very disappointing. Got 4 great games left, and really 3 rival games as such. In November, we didn't finish right last year, so we got to go home, grow up, handle it, take responsibility for it, and move on. Questions?
Did it kind of feel during the second and fourth quarters at all a little bit like App State last year defensively? Just couldn't stop?
I hadn't thought about that, but it really did. It's just awful. It was awful. I've never seen anybody just take it and hand it off and run for 10 yards of crack. And I told the guys, I can't answer what happened right now, so I'll watch it on the plane going home, and we'll adjust and see what part of that's coaching and what part of that's their responsibility, and don't point fingers, everybody else will. But we didn't do well, so you got to take responsibility for it. We got to grow up and man up and get ready to play next week.
Did you get a sense, and staying on that, did you get a sense that the snowball effect that hadn't really occurred this year to so much maybe did occur tonight, and the guys didn't pick themselves up like they had been?
Yeah, I thought some of it happened last week. It worries me it was 2 weeks in a row ago, because Virginia ran the ball for I think 228. Tonight they ran it for 350 or something. So, and you can't win games. We talked about us not running it well enough last week. We ran it well enough tonight. We played good enough on offense, and but it was just really bad on defense.
Did you think that these last 2 games, and tonight specifically, the ability to bounce back from mistakes, especially on the defensive end, have maybe ramped up here as of late?
If you're saying did we respond well, no, we didn't.
And what do you think, when looking back on this, what might have led to, specifically in that fourth quarter, I think they rushed for almost 250, what maybe kind of led to those breakdowns?
I don't know. I got to watch the video. If I'd known, I would have been able to help them adjust, and we didn't do either.
Was there a hangover at all from last weekend?
I don't know.
Did practice?
How did practice? No, practice was really good. I guess there wasn't a hangover on offense, and there was on defense. So, I mean, and the kicking game was probably the best we've had, except for the 1 block punt, and that didn't hurt us because we ended up with an interception the next play.
Do you know how Tez is? You know what's the word on Tez?
I don't know. I wouldn't respond. He was fine. He was talking. As far as what happens, that's for the medical people to talk to, and they'd want to talk to his family and all that before they would even talk to me. But I haven't gotten any response from them, except he was aware and talking.
Mack, you guys have been mostly solid defensively. I mean, how confounding is it to see what you saw in the second quarter, the fourth quarter?
Yeah, it's really bad. It's the first time we had it like it was last year. I thought last week wasn't good, and tonight was really bad for 2 quarters. Why it's good for 2 quarters and bad for 2 quarters, I can't answer. And we'll have some guys that played good on defense. That's the trouble.
So, what's the message tomorrow? You told us a minute ago there's rivalry games, there's still plenty to achieve, but you're going to have to patch some things together before they probably get headed in that direction.
Yeah, it's one of those. I didn't know what to say. I mean, I've been doing this 35 years, and I've never seen 2 quarters that bad and 2 quarters that good. Like you said, it's kind of like App State last year, but I thought we were beyond that on defense, and it's just really disappointing. So we got to go back and sit down with every player and every play, and we got to look at the calls and see if we've lined them up right, and then we got to figure out if we did, why didn't they make the plays. So it's just a combination of both. When you play that bad for 2 quarters, it's everybody's responsibility.
You go back to the third quarter against Miami, the defense bowed up there, maybe the most physical they've been all year. Are you stunned it's flipped this much that quickly?
Yeah, And it's a roller coaster. Look at all the scores today. They may play great next week or the next one. You can't tell anymore. You got to have a new game every week, and that's the way college football's become. And everybody's pretty good. And this team beat Miami, so I mean at Miami. So give them credit.
Mack, what do you make of? And if you've addressed it, I'm sorry. What do you make of just not being able to hold on to these leads? It's the second week in a row.
Yeah.
A double-digit lead in the second half.
Not playing good defense. I mean, and I addressed it. I mean, I don't know what happened. I don't know what was wrong, other than you have to look at the calls. You have to look at the coaches, and you have to look at the players. When it's that inconsistent. Andrew compared it to App State last year, and really the first quarter at App State and the fourth quarter at App State, and that's really what it was. We got snowballed and couldn't stop it. Yeah. And they didn't stop us either. I mean, that will go unnoticed, because the winner nobody talks about the bad things, and the loser, everybody only talks about the bad things. So I got that. That's the way our life is.
I understand this is immediately after a tough loss, but I mean, do you think this team is regressing in some ways?
We didn't play well in 2 quarters tonight, and we played great on offense, and we probably had our best night in the kicking game. So did our defense play bad for 2 quarters? Absolutely. As bad as we played since App State last year? Absolutely. Did we not play good on defense last week? I didn't think so. So we got to get better on defense the last 4 weeks. Offensively, I didn't think we played as well as we could last week. Tonight, I mean, you score 42 points, you should win the game.
On a positive, obviously the mission clearly was get Omarion the ball, run strong, and he did. He had a big game, third straight 100-yard game. I would imagine that's one thing you could take this and say, okay, not only have you grown, but you're consistently running the ball well with him now.
Yeah, we are, and that really helped us. I thought that would help us on defense, because the third quarter, Georgia Tech didn't even have the ball, so it's hard to say what would have happened. They had it twice, and we forced them to punt and had the interception. But I do think that we've got to keep getting it to both backs, and they were really good tonight, and it really helped us. And you move the ball that well. We still had some penalties that killed us, or we'd have still won the game. But we've got to get rid of the penalties and keep doing what we're doing on offense, and go back and figure out what happened wrong on defense for 2 quarters, and what happened last week on defense, and is it personnel? Is it what we're calling? Is it why'd we all of a sudden start playing bad defense? I don't know. I wish I could answer that tonight. That's the trouble with having a press conference without seeing the video, good or bad.
What would you think the mood of these guys is now? These obviously 2 really tough losses back to back.
Yeah, they're crushed, and I got to pick them up. I mean, that's the thing. Everybody will be down on them, and when you look, I was down. I was hard on them last week at the first of the week. I picked it up as the week went on, because I was so disappointed that I didn't think we played with energy. I thought they tried tonight. They were ready to play. They were excited. Started the game at 21-7. So I mean, they started off right. They did they checked all the boxes till we didn't. So we got to go back and say, let's don't start pointing fingers. Everybody else will. Don't start second guessing. Everybody else will. Stay off the internet. Don't be watching the news, and go back to work and get better next week.
On the kicking game, real quick, after that blocked punt, it looked like McGinnis might have changed up from the rugby style to kind of just the more traditional 1-2 step and kick it. Do you think that's maybe something he might look to moving forward, considering the punt protection struggles this year?
Yeah, we do both. They slipped up under our shield guy. We had the right protection. All he had to do is block him. He's supposed to block him down. He missed it. So we're still coaching human beings. Sometimes they make a mistake.
What was the concern with Tez? What were y'all checking him for?
I'm not a doctor, so it'd be wrong of me to say that. I'm sure that everything was moving and he was talking, so at least the awful things they were worried about checked out okay, or they wouldn't have let him stand up.
And it looked like on the play you just never saw the guy. I mean, it's going to be a huge game.
It was that kind of night. It was a first down.
Right. Like 3rd and 17 or something.
Yeah.
You guys good? Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it.